Now, it's been a little over 3 years, sorry, I beg your pardon, 3 weeks since the slaughter of drummer Lee Rigby outside his barracks in Woolwich. But the shock and anger continues to be felt, and relations between the Muslim and non-Muslim populations in some of our cities are fragile. The English Defence League has been on the march since Lee Rigby's death, launching a renewed campaign on the streets that they say is focused only on radical Islam, but which often looks and sounds as if it's motivated by hostility to all Muslims. This morning, I spoke to the leader of the English Defence League. He's a man who says his name is Tommy Robinson. That's coming up in a moment. But first, here's Adam Fleming on the rise of the EDL.
The English Defence League was founded in Luton in 2009 in response to a protest by a local Islamist group against a homecoming parade for the Royal Anglian Regiment, who were returning from a tour of duty in Iraq. The movement spread rapidly, organising demonstrations in towns and cities across the country, frequently attracting hundreds, even thousands of supporters. Tommy Robinson, the leader of the EDL, says their aim is to stop the spread of Islamic extremism and Sharia law. They also oppose the building of new mosques. Critics say it's a violent, racist group. Many of its supporters are former members of the BNP or the National Front. EDL members have been pictured making Nazi salutes. They insist it's a peaceful protest movement, but opponents point to frequent violence at their rallies. And there were clashes with the police when EDL supporters gathered in Woolwich after the murder of drummer Lee Rigby last month. You'll always find a big police presence at the group's demos, along with those who are opposed to the EDL. This week, 6 men were jailed for a total of more than 100 years for planning a terrorist attack on one of their rallies in Dewsbury last year. While the government's clamping down on Islamic extremism, David Cameron has said he won't tolerate the attitude of groups like the EDL either.
Tommy Robinson of the EDL joins us now. Welcome to the Sunday Politics. Should I call you Stephen Yaxley Lennon or Paul Harris or Andrew McMaster? Why do you have so many names?
I've used different names because of the serious threat against me. As you've just seen, there's been 5, 6 men jailed for 20 years each for planning to blow us up and kill us. I get regular death threats on a daily basis. I've been hospitalised. I have to live a two-tier life. I have to wear a bulletproof vest.
OK.
People wish to kill me, so I've tried to hide and conceal my family's
safety. What's the name on your birth certificate?
Stephen Yaxley.
Stephen Yaxley. So we could call you Stephen Yaxley.
Well, yeah.
OK. Because we did find your birth certificate. You were born Stephen Christopher Yaxley in Luton in 1982.
I was born to a father under the name of Yaxley, which I have nothing to do with anymore. No, he's not my dad. My dad is Thomas Lennon, which is why I changed my name to Lennon. He adopted me.
Because the confusion over your names, which you've had over many years, it had one advantage for you. It concealed for quite some time that you'd once been a member of the racist BNP.
Yeah, I joined the BNP in 2004, and when you're drowning, you clutch at straws, and my town's been drowning for many years. I was 20 years old, and I was looking for a way out. I was looking for somebody to be addressing this Islamic extremist problem. That was the only group addressing it. Now, my name was on the leak list. When I joined for 1 year, I didn't rejoin on the leak list. You can see I never rejoined. I didn't know Nick Griffin was the ex-leader in National Front. I didn't know non-white people couldn't join the organisation. Once I joined the organisation, I saw what it was about. It was not for me.
But we only got, your membership only came to light once it was discovered your real name wasn't Tommy Robinson. Yeah,
but that's when the death threat started. That's when the serious issues for me and my family.
To hide your membership of the BNP.
But that's not what I had to hide. I had my family's security to hide. I've had armed police guard at my house. I don't get the same protection that Anjem Choudhury or any Islamist extremists get. I don't get protection from the police. I've had anyone who follows me on Twitter, it's EDLT Robinson. You can see the daily threats against killing my children, against killing my wife. This has destroyed my family. It's destroyed my security.
OK, well, you're claiming to be threatened, but you say you've never threatened violence against the British Muslim community, and that the EDL only supports peaceful protest. But this is what you said on the 3rd of September 2011 in London.
Every single Muslim watching this video on YouTube, on 7/7, you got away with killing and maiming British citizens. You got away with it. Next time you think about it, you better understand that we have built a network from one end of this country to the other end. We will not tolerate humiliated. And the Islamic community will feel the full force of the English Defence League if we see any of our citizens killed, maimed or hurt on British soil ever again.
The Islamic community will feel the full force of the English Defence League. It's a pretty explicit threat.
It is. Well, it's not a threat, it's a promise. We will continue to highlight these issues, and what you're seeing now, we're a pressure organisation, we're a pressure movement. We put pressure on the government, we put pressure on the Islamic community. I'm seeing now, more than I've seen at all, Islamic leaders coming out. I watched on the Big Questions for the first time where they're addressing these issues. They're saying the problems in the madrasas, the mosques, the mullahs.
Yeah, but you didn't say you'd raise it with your MP. You said they will feel the full force of the English Defence League. And you didn't just even say the Islamic extremists. You said the Islamic community, everybody who's a Muslim.
Because I don't feel the Islamic community have done enough to address these issues. I believe they've allowed...
Force is a threat of violence in any language.
No, it's not. That's you twisting the words. That's not all. Just the same way when we was introduced on here, you spoke of National Front. We don't have National Front in our organisation. You spoke of people being pictured doing Nazi salutes. Pictured, a photograph that's been manipulated. No videos of people doing Nazi salutes. Nazism, Islamism, opposite sides of the same coin. We oppose both. Yeah, but Nazism's been defeated, Islamism is spreading across this country.
The people listening to you did not think you were talking about writing to your MP. They themselves knew you were talking about violence.
No,
I mean, it makes you into a self-styled anti-Muslim vigilante group. That's what that came across as.
It doesn't at all. It doesn't at all.
You're taking the law into your own hands.
When have we done that?
Well, you just said the Islamic community will feel the full force of the English Defence League if we see any of our citizens killed, maimed or hurt.
Through the democratic process, which is exactly what we're doing.
You never said that.
But I never said anything else. I never said I was going to commit violence. You've just played what I said. All I said is feel the full force. You're taking your own explanation on feel the full force.
But you've regularly taken the law into your own hands. I mean, how many convictions for violent offences do you have? We've counted 3 or 4.
3 or 4. I'm a working class man from Luton, OK? I've made my mistakes in my life. We shouldn't be here talking about my previous convictions. We should be talking about the truth that I'm saying, which is what's got me onto this programme. What's got me onto this programme is not my past or my history.
You're a violent man making violent threats, as we've just seen.
No, that offence was 10 years ago. My violent offence was 10 years ago. Before
but the threat wasn't. That was only 2 years ago.
Before I had 3 children and a family. You're talking 10 years ago as a young man. And I've done things I'm not proud of. But at the same time, my upbringing, and as you say, I have been to jail, which is why I've experienced and I'm living through Islamist ideology. In my upbringing, I'm not talking about what I'm reading in a book. I've seen militant Islam in jail. I know that 800 prisoners are coming out a year radicalised into our system. It's a threat to our country. Okay. It's not being addressed. It's not being tackled.
Well, let's have a look.
And if it wasn't for that upbringing, I wouldn't be sitting here now. I wouldn't have the courage to not back down to this.
This is the EDL in Woolwich in London in the aftermath of that appalling murder of drummer Lee Rigby. This is footage from the Guardian website, which explains some of the words on the screen. There are also some flashing lights, I should warn viewers. Let's just have a look at this.
Islam is not a religion of peace. Islam is fascist and it's violent, and we've had enough. Not just today, God bless our troops, we support our troops, but this is the end. It's the end, enough's enough.
So let's just add this up, Mr. Robinson or Mr. Yaxley. You're a violent man with a violent record. You're a former member of the BNP. You and others threaten Muslims with violence.
Well, no, I haven't threatened Muslims with violence. You're lying there.
People will make up their mind with what they've seen on the tape. Yeah. EDL demonstrations are menacing and intimidating, as we've just seen. They're full of men in balaclavas behaving like football hooligans on the rampage. Yet you expect us to believe that the EDL is no more menacing than the Girl Guides.
Has anyone from the English Defence League blown anything up? Has anyone from the English Defence League killed anyone? Has anyone planned to bomb anything? All the English Defence League have took... What you have to understand is...
You don't think that's menacing and intimidating?
I understand that is, but what you have to understand is there's a massive undercurrent of anger across this country. I've got my finger on the pulse, yeah? People are angry. You need to harness and channel that anger, which is what we're trying to do.
Okay.
We're trying to show people this is how you do it. You can have your voice heard, but unfortunately in this country, every time anyone tries to criticise anything to do with Islam, for 15, 20 years, you're called a racist. You've got this big stick that goes racist. You'll lose your job. You'll be alienated. You'll be discriminated against.
That's not a word I've used of you. The EDL, though, wants to ban the building of any more mosques in Britain. That's one of your positions.
One of my positions is that we should not be allowing Saudi Arabia to fund or madrasas or mosques in this country.
Okay.
And we're not saying indefinitely ban. We're not saying forever. We're saying that you need to ban it. You don't add to the problem. We don't know who's talking in these mosques. We're having tribalistic forms of Islam coming from caves in Afghanistan to speak in a mosque within 24 hours.
Some of your supporters want to burn down existing mosques.
No, they don't.
They chant chant about that in the streets.
I see, actually, that was...
These are hallmarks of an un-British intolerance. It's fascism, isn't it?
Again, that was at a Lincoln demonstration, which wasn't English Defence League. That's another group.
Well, 2 EDL members have been convicted of planning to burn down mosques.
Planning to burn down, or saying on Twitter.
Planning to burn down is an offence. These people were planning. The Islamists who were coming to kill you were planning to do it.
You say EDL members. English Defence League doesn't have a membership.
No, but they are self-styled EDL activists. Adam Rogers and John Parkins have both been convicted of encouraging others or planning to do it themselves to burn down. Well, that's a terrible thing, isn't it?
It's an awful thing, and I always, they're not my members. I always strongly speak out against it. But at the same time, all you have to see is I get threats to decapitate my kids every day. No one gets arrested. There's a 2-tier policing system in this country where people have been arrested for saying anything.
You've established very well the threats that you're under. I understand that, and I'm not arguing with that either.
No one's ever been arrested.
But what I'm saying is it's not that you just don't want a building of any more mosques. We have clear evidence that they shout burn down mosques in the demonstrations.
That's like getting an imam. That's like getting an imam on it.
Members have been convicted of encouraging people to burn down mosques.
We don't have a membership.
All right, you're activists. People who say they are part of the EDL.
Well, people say they follow Islam are planning to blow this country up every week, every month. But you don't blame that on the entire on Islam as a religion, do you? People bend over backwards to go out their way to say this is a minority who are within the Islamic ideology. But with the English Defence League, we want to carpet blame the whole organisation and its leadership for something that 2 morons have decided to say or do.
You've denied the EDL supporters anything to do with the arson attack on the Muswell Hill Mosque in the aftermath of the Woolwich event. The truth is that we don't know. I know you've said it could be Muslims themselves, but we don't know. But we've got plenty of evidence of EDL supporters either threatening or planning to burn down mosques. Well, they've both been convicted, these 2. Some have been convicted. So you would be forgiven for putting the EDL high up on a list of suspects, wouldn't you?
No, you wouldn't. It's like someone going to do a house burglary and sticking their thumb on the window on the way out. Now, when this got the EDL, there was 22 fire bombings in Luton. There was mosques attacked, smashed windows. There was council offices, and there was a yellow writing wrote EDL on every attack. Now, after 12 months of hearing Islamic leaders sit on our local TV saying that these are Islamophobic attacks, our women are scared, our families are scared, who did they arrest? Muslims.
All right, but you're always claiming the EDL is not a racist or a fascist group.
It's not.
The EDL demos have plenty of people giving Nazi salutes.
No, they don't, no.
Racial epithets are being slung all over the place.
The same again.
You choose to parade in areas where you intimidate ordinary Muslims most. You are behaving like a bunch of fascist thugs.
Actually, the English Defence League, after what happened in Woolwich, we could have chose to go into East London. We could have chose to go into a populated Islamic area.
We went to Woolwich.
No, that was on the evening of that, but we didn't go. We didn't. We went into. We went to Downing Street.
Look at these people. Look at these people outside Downing Street.
Yeah.
They're giving Nazi salutes.
See again. That is a manipulated photo. That is. I don't know that man.
He stuck the hand on the arm on his shoulder.
Well, there's pictures of people. Whenever anyone holds their hands up like that, we've told people now to give the 2 fingers.
That's a fascist Nazi salute by any definition. And they are at an EDL demonstration. There's tons of pictures of people giving Nazi salutes at your events.
We're going miles off the object. The reason why I'm here is because there's serious problems within the Islamist community. There's serious problems within our country that people are not addressing. We've got David Cameron yesterday saying we need to drive the forces of Al-Qaeda out of Syria. Sorry, David, but you're not driving them out of Britain. Okay. You're not actually tackling the issues that we live with. And the same difference is, you see in Luton and towns like Luton, we have to queue up next to these people in the bank. Our kids have to go to school with their kids. Not most people who are sitting dictating or giving their opinions on this. Right. It's us it's affecting on a daily basis. Okay. I'm not a Nazi. I hate Nazis.
All right.
I hate fascism.
You need, I suggest, to speak to some of your supporters then.
Actually, one of my convictions...
I know all
one
that,
of my convictions you're talking about is for assaulting one of these men who was given a Nazi salute.
You clearly didn't get them. You claim to be the true voice of the working class in this matter, but the fact is ordinary people don't want anything to do with you. The grieving parents of drummer Lee Rigby, the best of Britain, that young man, they have pleaded with you to stop exploiting his death.
Again, no, they haven't. No, what they said is that they didn't mention the English Defence League. What they said is if anyone...
No, they had you in mind, which any
How do you know what they had? How do you know what they in mind?
To keep calm and show their respect in a peaceful manner. We've seen what you did in Woolwich.
So you now speak for Lee Rigby's family by throwing in extra
Well, they asked people to keep calm and show their respect in a peaceful manner.
Yes.
That's not what the EDL did in
And
Woolwich.
when they asked that, after 2 weeks after his death, we was organising 60 peaceful walks for Lee, where we were walking through city centres and laying flowers. Now, out of those 60 peaceful walks for Lee, 57 of them were completely peaceful. The only times they weren't were when Muslims in Sheffield come and got all the flowers for Lee Rigby, ripped them to pieces in front of everyone, and it caused a confrontation. The only people who defied the family's wishes were members of the Islamic community and members of Unite Against Fascism, who are a government-funded organisation whose leader of Unite Against Fascism has actually sat and said that British forces are justified for attack.
You call yourselves the English Defence League.
Yes, we do.
But the people who are really defending this country, who put their lives and limbs on the line in a day out,
Are being ignored and discriminated against, and there's
they
no
won't
respect
have
for them.
anything to do with you. The Help for Heroes charity doesn't even want your money.
Yeah, I know. That's political correctness gone mad in this country. I've got a friend who's like, I know, I've got a friend who
Ordinary
lost his
British
legs.
squaddies are politically correct.
Oh, I think ordinary British squaddies support us. I know they do.
They don't want your money.
No, that's Help for Heroes. That's not ordinary British squaddies. And that's actually political
it?
correctness gone mad in this country.
When you hear the Rigby family calling for everyone to keep calm, show their respect, don't use it as an excuse to carry out attacks, and
English
Help for
Defence League have
Heroes
not carried out one attack.
says they don't want
English
your
Defence League
money,
have not carried out one
doesn't
attack.
it give you a moment's pause for thought?
The English Defence League have not carried out one attack. What gives me a moment's pause for thought is the fact that this happened to Lee Rigby, and his killer, we made a video in 2010 highlighting who his killer was. The fact that he's walking the streets and that we now have a son on Father's Day without a dad, it's going to happen again.
You have to say alleged there.
What people need to realise is this is going to happen again. Okay. We've allowed our troops to be spat at in Luton in front of their families and their mothers. Then we've allowed our poppies to be burned. Now we're allowing people to behead our soldiers on the streets of England. Now what is next? It's going to happen again.
Oh.
And by not tackling this government are too weak. Our politicians are too weak. I'm not bound by political correctness. So I'll sit here and I will openly say how it is, which is why people are following.
Let me ask you this final question.
People are following and it's spreading across the country. The English Defence League's not going to go anywhere.
You're so sure that you speak for so many people.
Yeah. I know that by the response I get everywhere I go in the country.
You won't stand for election and the EDL won't put up candidates.
No, I won't, no.
And I would suggest you're not really interested in democratic politics.
I'm not interested in politics.
It's just street thuggery.
No, I'm not interested in politics. I don't want to be another man putting a suit on, sitting there lying and bound by political correctness.
It's the politics of the street you're interested in, which is the hallmark of extremism, fascism and communism throughout the ages.
I'm interested in change for this country. Nobody you ask will tell you that this country is going in the right direction. And if we all accept that and we think it's getting more dangerous, 60% more Muslims are being arrested every year for terrorism, I've got 3 beautiful young children, as have many people in this country, I am terrified for what it's going to be like for them. And I'm not going to be a coward and sit on the fence. I want change. And I will do everything I can to bring about change and make sure, through peacefully protesting and highlighting these issues, I want to feel safe and make sure that my children have got a prosperous future. And in towns and cities like Luton across this country, they haven't got that. And it's time for Middle England to sit up and listen to how we're living.
I understand that you are frightened of
the
Muslim threat.
I'm terrified.
I think many people in this country are as frightened.
And what are we doing about it?
And are as frightened of you in the EDL as you are of the Muslims. We've run out of time.
What's David Cameron doing about it?
We have to leave
Nothing.
it there.
Talking about the EDL.
Mr. Robinson, thank you for being with us.
Father's Day, Dad.
That was the EDL.